Hey, thanks for checking out Nuts and Bolts with Tone. Today we're going to talk about the Power Probe 3. As I've said in previous videos, and as you see in my testing videos, this is the Power Probe that I use. I have used this for a long time, and I also have had to replace several of them. I think this is like probably my fourth one, but I've had it since it first came out. I had the very first Power Probe 3, and I just kept buying different ones. This one's camouflage. I think I've had a pink one. I've had probably a black one. And in my a recent video that I was making, when I would hook up a lead, and when I hooked up a lead to the tip, like, and I put one of my banana clip leads in there to test. I was doing a test on a third brake light, and whenever I did, the Power Probe, it was making like a buzzing type of noise, and it was coming from the Power Probe, and it was really weird. And I went and I thought maybe I didn't have a good connection on my ground, and then I thought that maybe I thought there was something wrong with my lead, so I switched leads. I tried a bunch of stuff, and I probably spent like, I don't know, 5 extra minutes diagnosing this super easy third brake light. I was making a video about it, but it wasn't very difficult, but I spent like a few extra, a little bit extra time messing with it. But the reason I'm making this video is because I wasn't sure that my Power Probe was bad. I thought there was a problem with the car. It was a van, and I was hooked up to the battery, and it was a E350. I was all the way at the back. My lead was stretched out all the way. I was actually not sure if it was even going to make it to the back. And excuse me. And so I thought, maybe it wasn't my lead. So I did my tests, and everything worked, and my testing worked out fine. But then right after that, I had a day of electrical testing. So right after that, I had a Sprinter, and I had a Sprinter with a washer pump that wouldn't work. And it should have been a pretty straightforward diagnosis, but I did 2 things wrong. The first thing I did was I just jumped the gun, and I went right to something attached to the washer bottle without thinking about it. And I'm sitting there testing it, and one, I'm not getting the right reading because, well, I'm not testing the pump, I'm testing the level sensor. And 2, my Power Probe kept making that buzzing noise. And I'm like sitting there messing with it. I got my meter out. I'm like, what is going on? Then I finally realized that I was testing the wrong component on the vehicle, which, hey, I mean, we make mistakes, right? But it was just funny because it was a compound of wrong equipment, a wrong part of the car, and my Power Probe. So then I found the washer pump, and it was right there. Okay, it was kind of hard to get to. Stuck a back probe lead in there, hooked it up, and it was bam, bam, buzzing again. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Wasn't getting the right voltage. This is weird. I grabbed my neighbor really quick, because I knew that this car, my Power Probe, was messing up. So let me go get my neighbor's, and let me see what his does. And so I got his Power Probe, hooked it up, no problem. Plugged in my lead, everything worked. Went down there, tested the pump, boom, power, okay, cool, it needs a pump. I'm on my way. It was super simple, easy, but my Power Probe caused me some issues. So I looked it up, and I think the Power Probe warranty, I think, is 1 year. And so hopefully, I mean, if you take care of them, they should last longer than a year. So in this video, I'm going to show you one thing that I found a long time ago that caused my first Power Probe, the first one I ever had, to mess up. And I'm going to talk to you about taking care of your Power Probe and how I recommend you take care of it. And then I'm going to show you how to fix a common problem or common problems. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing that I recommend is, I know it comes in a box, and the box is not the great storage. When you first get it, it's great. But if you use your Power Probe more than, maybe you use it once a month or something, then maybe you put it back in the box. I actually use my Power Probe quite often, at least, 5, 6, 7, 8 times a week at least. And so I like to, I keep it in a drawer just like this, about wrapped up like that. I don't know, it's it's 8 to 10 inches across. It's not going to fit in the box like this, but, like I said, I don't put it in my box. All right, so the first thing I want to tell you is don't hang your Power Probe. When I first got it, we hung them like this. Okay, this is how we hung them. We would hang them from the side of our toolbox, just like that. Okay, well, you can see right here, this is putting strain on this cord. So that was the first issue I ever had with the Power Probe. So and I fixed that a long time ago. I don't do that anymore, and I store it correctly now. And the second thing is, and always wind this up nice, because when you unwind it, if you don't wind it up nice, when you stretch it out, it's a mess. And so the second thing is I'm inside. So now here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this thing apart, and I'm going to show you. It comes apart really, really easy. And it, hang on one second. It comes apart really easy. And the problem, I already fixed this one. So I'm going to show you the problem, and we're going to, let's check it out. All right. So what I use is this Matco H3. So it's I think it's a 3mm Allen. All right, so you're going to need a deeper Allen than like a regular socket. It's not going to work. So what we're going to do is right there in where the banana clip goes. Okay, actually this brings up a good point. If you're ever, and this actually happened to me not that long ago, if you're ever sitting there in your power probe and this part right here, it's wiggly. Okay, get this 3mm Allen and put right in the banana clip, in the banana hole, and give it a little twist. And I guarantee you, if this is wiggly, it'll turn. You'll be able to loosen it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to loosen this up. Now this is pretty long, so it takes a second to get out. Do it by hand. Okay, this is the main screw for everything. I mean, remember, everything comes through this thing. So be very, very careful. Take very good care of this. And now I wouldn't use the power tools. You know, I wouldn't use any sort of screw guns or anything like that. Not on this. Not on electrical components. You'll see how long it is. And, you know, you just don't want to take that chance. All right, so it didn't get stuck in there because it's really easy to take out, and it shouldn't be that tight. So we're going to take it out, and it looks something like this. All right, there's where your lead goes. Okay, just got a hole in the center, and then there's the threads. All right, so we're going to set that to the side. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you set this somewhere so you don't lose it. All right, so step number 2 is it's going to take 2 screwdrivers. All right, I'm at home, so I don't have my regular pocket screwdrivers. I think I have one Snap-on and one Mac hanging on the side of my. So all you do is right here on the switch, there's a little spot right there. You can see it on both sides. Okay, that's for a screwdriver. All right, so I'm gonna put the light on here. Hopefully that helps. It's not helping. Okay, we're just gonna leave it like this. Okay, so we're just gonna go in here and lightly just give this a little push up. All right, and it's gonna come up. Maybe one more little push up. Or you need to turn your screwdrivers on their sides. All right, there we go. All right, so we're gonna pull this out. All right, so it's a switch. Okay. I don't know if it's oriented in either way. It doesn't seem like it, but we're gonna put it back the way it came out. All right, and so now you can see that there's nothing else to this except for this. So this just pulls out. All right, so we're just gonna this. All right, so this just kind of keeps the case halves together. All right, and all that is, it's got a little hole in there. Okay, so we're gonna put that back like that. All right, now we're gonna lay it with the back side facing up, and the back is gonna just lift up, and we'll do it from the side, and you'll see. Be careful, because at the back, it's coming out of this it's coming out of this rubber here, and it's also sliding out of these plastic grooves. All right, so you got to be careful with that. All right, let me get a flashlight. Okay, so I'm going to point out 2 things. So one, it's actually kind of the same. So your power probe has a power and ground that come off of it that go to the clips right here. These guys, okay? All right. So those guys, they come from here. Power, ground, all right? So this little red and black split is your power and ground from your alligator clips. All right, so I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but right there on the positive, okay, right there on the side of the positive, right there, okay? So my negative lead, this negative lead was laying flat and it was touching the positive. So it was shorting to ground right here, or ground was shorting to power right here, okay? So that's what was happening. Now this one here is your alternative ground. So you can see how you always have ground on that small alligator clip because it comes from it comes from the ground. So all I did was take a pocket screwdriver and pull the wire over, and then I just laid down a solder on top of it. I'm trying to get it good. And I just laid down the solder on top of it right there. And it's fine. And now it's not hanging over, and then it works good. Now the crazy thing is, so I have a power probe. Let me show you. I don't work on cars at home very often, but when I do, this is all I have. A Power Probe 2. My old Power Probe. So I've had a couple power probes that just completely died. I had one that I was able to fix. I bought a new one and I sold it to one of my coworkers. And this time, because I was in a pinch, I just ordered a new Power Probe 3. And I got it like the next day from Amazon. I mean, it was black. And so I figured, you know what? After I ordered it, I thought, you know what? Here, let me show you how to put this back together, and then I'll tell you about it. So here's the back, okay? Pretty simple, not much to it. You're just going to slide the back in. A little bit tricky to get in. But as you push it down, oops, make sure this stays snapped in. All right, so when you're putting this back together, you got to be careful because this thing here wants to twist on you, okay? So it needs to face this smaller part here, needs to go down, and it's got to pop in. It's got to pop in and be all the way down, and then basically all you do with this one is you put it back on top, and then you just pull it back. You pull it back and then it slides up in there. And then you put it together, put it back in its position we had. We're going to put this piece back in. Be really careful with this because it has little tiny plastic little jaws. And once you get it in place, you'll kind of feel it, and then you have to give it a push. So once you do that, then you're going to take your switch. Just push your switch back in. Then you're going to put your Allen. And you're going to run it in all the way. It's not going to go in like you would think, like a super loose bolt. It's going to be a little, you can feel a little bit of resistance to it, but not a lot. And you'll see this thing goes way down inside there. Actually, not way down inside. I think it actually just goes right inside. It does, like I said, yeah, it does go down there. So you want to give it just like a little, that's it. That's all you got to do. And now we're back together. And it works now. I tried it, no more buzzing, no more beeping. So now I have a Power Probe 3. So now I have a Power Probe 2 in a Power Probe box. So there we go. So in this video, I taught you how to figure out what's wrong with your Power Probe. I showed you the things that normally fail with a Power Probe, and I told you how to fix them, showed you how to open it up, and hopefully this helps you out. In my case, had I just taken a minute and taken it apart, I would have fixed it, and I wouldn't have spent $121 on a new Power Probe. Or what could happen to you is you go to get a power probe, and this happens all the time. You know, hey, I need a power probe. Oh, well, here's this Power Probe 3 ES or EZ. Here's this Power Probe 4. Here's this. And then, you know, get talked into buying it. And, you know, in my previous videos, you see that I don't recommend, you know, getting a newer power probe unless you work by yourself and you need a latch function on a power probe. So in this case, you have your Power Probe 3, take it apart, you fix it, and then you can just say, you know what, that 121 bucks that I was going to buy a new power probe, I'll just buy something else. So save some money. So anyways, I hope you learned something, and thanks for checking out my video. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell, you get notified of all of my future content, which you'll want to see. And check me out on Instagram at Nuts and Bolts with Tone, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.